All right, here we are in my round pen at Copperline Farm. Out here I've got Sam. This is a 10-year-old Irish sport horse. He's eventing with me at the 2-star level, and I've had him for about a year, and he came to me with this sort of look in his eye that when he's pushing into my space, it's fine, but as soon as I try to hold a boundary or play back with him, he can get very defensive, a little worried. It's almost like he's used to an adversarial relationship with people when you're in each other's space and with their hands. And I find it very hard to get to this point with him where he can just be close to me and we can both be relaxed and quiet and not sort of worry about each other. And I think the important thing with this kind of horse to remember is that I don't want to ever, if I can, feel like I'm backing up or retreating, or I'm attacking. I want to have this sort of neutral feeling about me, and I want to set up situations that are going to help me do that. So even here, while I'm looking at you, I've also got my eye on him, that I don't want to have a situation happen where he bites me and then I go back towards him. I want to be proactive about protecting my space. The other thing with a lot of these horses is trying to figure out what's the root cause of this. Are they playful? Are they curious? Are they worried? Do they have ulcers? Some horses are just quite mouthy. And sometimes having this feeling of how can we help them? How can we meet their emotional needs? Here I'm going to give them a little rub. A lot of horses, when you take the bridle off, they're quite itchy and they want to rub on you or rub on something. And so then rather than cross-tying them or saying, hey, don't itch on me, don't scratch on me, I'm going to give them a scratch right here by the neck. You know, I'm going to take 30 seconds out of my day to be like, it sucks to be itchy. I know what that's like, and I'm going to give them a scratch here. And not just a scratch like in a way like trying to get it done, but like trying to find that spot that he likes. Like, where is it? Is it underneath here? Is it around here? Where is that spot? We want to have this feeling like the tree I mentioned earlier. You know, a tree doesn't retreat, a tree doesn't attack, a tree just is, and they're not going to try to push through a tree, and I don't want them to think that they're going to try to push through me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run through some tips and some tricks for what to do with a horse that can push through my space or get a little nippy. The first kind of big picture thing is to realize what a horse's tendencies are. And we do that through observation, through learning. And one of the things that they're going to do is right from their nose all the way back to the withers, this whole neck and head can swivel. So I want to make sure I'm standing outside of that swivel area. If I'm inside of this swivel area and you have a horse that has that tendency, they can very easily swing their head through me. So I'm going to be back over here, maybe off to the side. With some horses, I may even stand all the way back here by the withers. But I'm going to try to put myself out of that space. Another technique we can do is we can hold the side of the halter, either on this side or on this side. The reason I like that more is because if I hold under here, you see how easy it is for him to put his mouth or teeth on me and nip me? So here, no matter how tight or how firm I am, he's still got that ability. Just like with everything, there's pros and cons to every technique. So here, the big con is if you've got a horse that's big and strong and they throw their head away from me or they throw their head up, that's going to pull me off of my feet, probably jerk my arm, and I'm going to probably have to let go anyway. But if you've just got this mild kind of feeling like this, a great thing to do is hold right here. The second thing I like to do is be proactive about protecting my space. And this is what I said earlier about the fan. You're walking down the aisle, you put your finger in the fan, it's going to hit your finger, but you can go right up to the edge of the fan and you know it's not going to hit you. So that's the same thing I want to have here. I want to have this clear column, this protective space around me, and it goes all the way down to the ground and it goes all the way up over my head to the sky. And I want him to learn that if he crosses this line, you know, this is going to keep going, and if he doesn't cross the line, it's going to stop. And look at this, I can even do it with my knees, with my lower leg, with my heel behind me, and I'm just going to shut my eyes as I do this. A lot of times I'll have people shut their eyes like this, because what happens is as soon as you open your eyes, you're going to start adjusting for where the horse is. All right, I'm not going to adjust. I'm going to let him figure out where to stay. Just like with that fan, just like with the tree, this is something that doesn't change. Now, the reason he still does this is because not everybody in his life has the same boundary I do. You know, people that work for me, the vets, the farriers, whoever handles this horse, if they have different boundaries, then he's not going to learn the consistency of this boundary. That doesn't mean I stop trying. I still try to create this, and he'll learn, it just won't happen as quickly. Oftentimes people will ask me, you know, it's fine and good for me to do this, but I'm at a boarding barn everybody handles the horse differently. And really the only truth to that is that the horse is only going to be as well trained, they're only going to be as consistent as the people in their lives are. It's just a simple truth. People say, you know, you're always training or untraining a horse. I think of it a little bit differently in that you're always training a horse. It's just, what are you training them to do? So here I just keep my forearm and my elbow going up and down, just like this. If you put yourself in a situation where he gets you and you get scared or nervous or frustrated, it's going to make the situation worse. Do you see how he is like this? And this is what I mean. He's used to an adversarial relationship. I want to create a relationship where I don't get scared or frustrated or nervous. Now, another thing you can do here is you can pick up a stick and you can ask him to back out of your space. Now, out of all of these ways, this is actually my favorite way. It takes a little bit of practice if you're not used to backing a horse up. But when you've got a horse about 6 feet away from you, you know, the chances of that horse biting you or the chances of you getting scared or angry or frustrated are way less. Most people get a little worried or a little uncomfortable when their horse is this far away from them. Same thing with horses, they tend to sort of creep back up towards you. Practice this technique in an environment like this, a round pen, a paddock, an arena. Don't wait till you're in a place where your horse is super aggressive or has a lot of adrenaline or is on a horse show to practice backing them up. You want to make this extra good at home, sort of anticipating that it's going to get 30 or 40% worse at a horse show or a clinic or with a lot of atmosphere. So we make this extra good at home. I'm going to show you that once more. I'm going to bring him up towards me. I'm going to tap here just gently towards the air or to the rope. If I need to, I could tap a little harder or even tap towards the chest. But it shouldn't take much. Usually horses are more sensitive than we give them credit for. He backs out of my space, we take a break. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you here is this feeling of being 100% present with your horse. So if you're interacting with them like this, and I'm not even going to look over there at you, I'm going to read his expression with his eyes, read expression with his lips, and I can stabilize his head and even give him a little rub. Massage his nostrils, massage his gums. And a nice thing you can do, this is a little bit more advanced. Here I'm going to stabilize his head like this. I'm going to look over at you. You notice how wary I am about taking my eye off of him. I don't want you to take your eye off your horse, get bit, and then react. I want you to be proactive about keeping the situation safe. One more thing you can do is you can have this feeling of rubbing on him. And over the course of maybe 10 to 15 seconds, you can start off with something that he wanted, gradually increase this rubbing until he backs up and then stop. So this is something initially he wanted. I'm going to rub a little harder, he backs up, and then I stop. And so rather than punishing him and sort of hitting out towards him, you're saying, I'm going to give you something you wanted, a little attention, a little rub, and I'm going to gradually increase it until he's starting to think, you know, maybe I actually didn't want to rub on you. And he backs up and then I take a break. This last one is a little harder. I find people struggle with this a little bit in terms of how to escalate this pressure and have this backing feeling. But if you can get the feeling of this, this is one of the most helpful things you can do. You just rub a little harder, he backs up and then you take the pressure off. So just to recap quickly, we've got hold the side of the halter. We've got number 2, be proactive, create these boundaries about our space. Number 3, we've got back them out of our space, just like this. And then the last one is this idea of being 100% present with our horse, making sure that all our attention is focused on reading their expression, anticipating what they're going to do. And as part of that, you can even back them up a little bit more.